It's my opinion that Gen Z, and honestly, society more broadly, has no idea what true, meaningful love actually looks like. And I think a big part of this is representation in media. How do I know whether or not I'm in a healthy relationship? And what exactly does that mean to be in a healthy relationship? What does love look like? Let me tell you, this Disney romanticization is not it. So let's discuss all of that together. What do you think of when you hear the word love? I know it's a tough question to answer because it's a really big word. It can have so many different connotations and meanings for different people. For some, this word may be associated with trapped, isolated, or perhaps even enslaved. For others, it may be linked to words like secure or protected. When I think of love, I think of the words companionship and freedom. Personally, I think the media has done a grotesque job at showing what actual love can look like. In movies, it's often depicted in this romanticized and fantastical way. For example, any Hallmark movie ever. Tell me if this sounds familiar. A girl from the big city goes to her small town where she runs into her ex-boyfriend, former high school sweetheart. Throughout the next couple of days or weeks, they catch feelings and go out to dinner a few times and have some laughs. Everything is blissful and the two people are perfect for each other. They have the same goals and plans for the future, but there's still enough difference in the city life culture shock to keep conversations interesting. There's one issue, however, when she finds out that she has to go back to the city tomorrow morning, and so with the 2 minutes left in the movie, she decides to uproot her entire life and stay in the country out with him. Obviously, there are some slight differences, but for the most part, Hallmark is notorious for following this generic story structure almost to a T. We also often see characters in horrific toxic relationships. An example of a toxic relationship represented as something normal or even something to aspire for is in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. The movie is about a breakup between the main character, Joel, and his now ex-girlfriend, Clementine. Joel has hired a company to erase his memories of their entire relationship after finding out Clementine recently went through a similar procedure. Told inside of Joel's mind, we watch as he relives the last several years of life. Starting with the bad memories, Joel is heartbroken and angry. But as we go further back and see the love the two once shared, Joel changes his mind. He tries desperately to save just one good memory with her, but fails all the same. Long story short, the movie ends with Clem and Joel reuniting, hearing about all of the horrors that happened and deciding that the good outweighs the bad. They decide to stay together anyway. One of these examples shows a very toxic relationship. The other shows a blissful perfection that can never be achieved. I think the closest I've seen to a good interpretation of love in media is in Avengers Endgame. There's a scene where two best friends, Natasha and Clint, find out that one of them needs to die to save the universe. Naturally, both of them begin sprinting for the edge of the cliff. A fight between the two ensues where both parties are trying to jump off before the other has an opportunity to. As I watched this in theaters for the 5th time, and yes, I watched Endgame in theaters 5 times, can you really blame me? As I watched this in theaters for the 5th time, this was one of the first times that I think I truly started to understand what a healthy relationship looks like. Love is made out to be this big, bold promise, a promise of commitment. I'll never betray you or hurt you. But it's a lie. Every relationship has struggles and hardships. The Hallmark utopian dream is just that. It's impossible. Without disagreements, without conflict, things get boring and stale. Too much struggle, though, is just as bad. As seen in Eternal Sunshine, when there is so much arguing and fighting, when you're so concerned about being right that you stop trying to be understanding, the relationship is draining and isolating. This is the person that you're supposed to be able to share all of yourself with, but you just get yelled at every time you try. Love is not this big, bold commitment. When things get bad and you have to walk away, it's not because you fell out of love. The relationship just wasn't healthy. Love is simply saying, I'm here when you need me. Love is wanting to take on the burden of struggling so that the other person doesn't have to. Love is driving down the road, blasting music way too loud in the dead of night. Love is sharing without fear of judgment or ridicule. If you ask me, love is no different in a relationship than in a good friendship. When you're friends with a person and that person decides to stop being good to you, you can always not be friends anymore. Obviously, this is not the first move, but it's always an option on the table. Love is not enslavement because at any point, you can always leave. Love is saying, I know I could leave, but I'm not going to because you're worth staying with through this struggle. True love is giving for the sake of giving and not expecting anything in return. In a healthy relationship, whether friendship or romance, both parties will give what they can because it will make the other person happy. There will be disagreements and struggles. This is not just acceptable, but incredible and important. It means that the person values you and trusts you enough to disagree openly. In a healthy relationship, they also respect you enough to bring these up softly, lovingly, and reassuringly. You should be able to sit down and have a deep, fruitful conversation about your differing ideas and feelings and come to some level of understanding and maybe compromise if needed. True love is without expectations, but also knowing your worth. If someone is not giving you the love that you deserve, you should go find someone who will. Remember also that before you can fully love someone else, you must first love yourself.